Yo, 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 what up, y'all? It's your boy Rob coming back at you once again with another live stream. So before we get started, you already know what to do. If you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you hit the bell icon twice. Smash the like button, share this video out to all of your followers, and let's get it cracking. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about an individual who is the archetype of the welfare fraud variety. Brett Favre, a complete idiot, an all-American good old boy who is a conservative nutcase that is one of these kind of people that is an all lives matter individual. Black people make up 13% of the population, 55% of the crime, and people need to stay off welfare. And you got to ask yourself the question, why? So that he can use it all? Now, in addition to that, there was a lot of collaborators in his effort. All right. There was a lot of people involved, including some high ranking politicians. So now you got to ask yourself the question, why aren't we hearing the words RICO being thrown around? Because this was an ongoing fraudulent activity. And also, it was integrated into the government, just like these things always are when it comes to the police, when it comes to these mass shootings, when it comes to any of this stuff. It all traces back to some kind of government involvement. So, what we're going to do is we're going to pay close attention to that, and we're going to focus more on how the government was involved in facilitating the privilege that Brett Favre exercised. And we're going to talk about seeing how that took place in the same state as where there is a water crisis right now. Two reasons why this is being ignored. All right. So what we got here is an article from Associated Press. All right. Mississippi's ex-governor knew of Favre's welfare money. And what did they do about it? That's the question. Nothing. Facts. The welfare Kang. Super facts. You know what I'm saying? This idiot. Newly revealed text messages show how deeply a Mississippi governor was involved in the state paying more than $1 million in welfare money to Brett Favre to help fund one of the retired NFL quarterback's pet projects. All right. And shout out to my man Torian Rain in the building. Torian is one of the first people that I saw talking about this, and Professor Black Truth actually did a great video about this last night where he actually showed the text messages. So shout out to Torian and shout out to Professor Black Truth for that great video that he dropped last night. The one he just put out this morning was good too. You know what I'm saying? Instead of the money going to help low-income families in one of the nation's poorest states as it was intended, it was funneled through a nonprofit group and spent on a new $5 million volleyball facility at a university that the football star and the governor both attended. So what a way to support their alma mater. What a way to support their alma mater. You know what I'm saying? That's a hell of an alumni association. One of the texts from 2017. So this is going on since 2017. Now let me ask you guys a question in the comment section. Did you guys think that RICO should be involved here? And shout out to my man Bronze the God and shout out to Carla. What up with y'all? Do you guys think that RICO should be involved with this? I do. Because this shows an ongoing pattern of criminal enterprise, racketeering, extortion. It showed that Republican Governor Phil Bryant, who left office in 2020, was, quote, on board with the arrangement. Now, let me ask you guys a question. What does that mean? He was on board with it. You guys ever heard that song? I'm all about that. That's what that shit means. The state is suing Favre and others, alleging they misspent millions of dollars in welfare money. Yeah, I guarantee you none of it was spent at your local Save-A-Lot. The state is suing Favre and others, alleging that they misspent millions of dollars in welfare money. Now, I think that they should get enhanced sentences because this is happening at a time when tax money should be available for emergency funding for Mississippi, more specifically Jackson. If you guys agree with that, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. The director of the nonprofit has pleaded guilty to criminal charges in Mississippi's largest public corruption case in decades. Man, somebody tell Governor Abbott. I thought things came bigger in Texas. Looks like the biggest fraud is coming out of Mississippi. The texts were documented in and filed Monday in state court by an attorney for the nonprofit known as the Mississippi Community Education Center. Messages between Favre and the center's executive director, Nancy New, included references to Bryant. The documents also included messages between Bryant, Favre, and Bryant and New. Just left Brett Favre, Bryant texted New on July 16th of 2019, misspelling the athlete's name. Oh, yeah, just like I did in the thumbnail. You know what I'm saying? And you'll get a bunch of those trolls and grammar Nazis that say, oh, you misspelled the last name. But guess what? Oh, I've never used welfare. Shout out to Shatera. She got some yamps off of him. I wouldn't say that. You know what I'm saying? I'd plead a fifth on that. You know what I'm saying? They got his text messages. So, you know what I'm saying? We might see Shatera's little, profile picture show up on one of the bubbles. I hope not. You know what I'm saying? Matter of fact, you know what I'm saying? Y'all better start dropping them super apps or them super chats and cash apps so we can make a saved Shatera fund in case, you know what I'm saying, any incriminating happens here in the chat. Can we help him with his project? We should meet soon to see how I can make sure we keep your projects on course. New responded, I would appreciate having the opportunity to follow through with all good things we are working on, especially projects like Brett. I guarantee you Brett would probably find a way to scam a project building. Now, what I find fascinating about this is that this is something that they're real hush, 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 hush about in the mainstream media. Man, Tucker Carlson usually has all the answers, but he doesn't have any questions about this. I do. I got a question. Why not? Later that day, New texted Favre to let him know that he was meeting with the governor. I love John so much, and you too, Favre responded to New, referring to the Mississippi Department of Human Services director at the time, John Davis. The text also showed discussions between Favre and New about arranging payment from the Human Services Department through the nonprofit to Favre for speaking engagements, with Favre then saying he would direct the money to the volleyball facility at the University of Southern Mississippi. Man, he's really invested in this volleyball facility. Now, if I'm not mistaken, doesn't his daughter play volleyball? Can somebody confirm that? Favre played football at the university located in Hattiesburg before going to the NFL in 1991. His daughter began playing on the school's volleyball team in 2017. Oh, well, answer my own question. According to court documents, Favre texted New on August 3rd of 2017. If you were to pay me, is there any way the media can find out where it came from and how much? Now, what I find fascinating is this is how you know that these people know their privilege. He's not even concerned about the police. He's concerned about the media. No, you know what? I actually am not interested in this Tarek, but what I am interested in is the history between the Mississippi governor and him, because it's the same pattern like how there was a history between the McMichaels family and Jackie Johnson. This goes into that legacy thing. There's always an ongoing legacy. There's always a politician involved that facilitates this stuff. That right there is the particular thing that interested me about this, because that's something that I've been saying for a very long time, which is again why I titled that last live stream that I did about Elijah McClain. At this point, they're trolling us, because let me ask you guys a question. When is the last time a rapper was involved in a scheme this devious? I mean, you got rappers about to do life in jail for literally lyrics that have not been linked to crimes. But you have Brett Favre, who's involved in this, and as a good old boy, he's not even showing any concern about the law because he already knows that his skin is the law. What he's concerned about is embarrassment, which he's not going to be embarrassed anyway. They're going to show him minimal embarrassment. We got to make sure that when he dies on his anniversary, we do about 24 hours worth of streams about this while they're giving him accolades for being a Hall of Fame quarterback. Because now he's in the Hall of Shame. New responded, "No, we never had that information publicized." I understand you being uneasy about that, though. Let's see what happens on Monday with the conversation with some of the folks at Southern. Maybe it will click with them, hopefully. Favre replied, "Okay, thanks." The next day, New texted Favre, "Wow, just got off the phone with Phil Bryant. He is on board with us. We will get this done." Favre responded, "Awesome. I needed that to hear that for sure." According to a previous court filing, New's nonprofit made 2 payments of welfare money to Favre Enterprises, the athletes' businesses, for $500,000 in December of 2017 and $600,000 in June of 2018, while Favre is one of those people that just sits there and says, pull yourself up by the bootstraps. Let me ask you guys a question. Does this look like Favre is pulling himself up by his cleats? On December 27th of 2017, Favre texted New, "Nancy Santa came today and dropped some money off." 2 smiling emojis. "Thank you, my goodness, thank you." "Yes, he did," New responded. "He felt you had been pretty good this year." Attorneys for Favre did not immediately respond to a phone message Wednesday from the Associated Press. In July 11th, a court finding, New's attorney wrote that Bryant directed her to pay $1.1 million in welfare money to Favre through the Education Center for speaking at events, keynote speaking, radio and promotional events, and a business partner development. In July, a Bryant spokesperson said allegations that the governor improperly spent the money are false and that Bryant had asked the state auditor to investigate possible welfare fraud. Billy Quinn, an attorney representing Bryant, told the AP on Wednesday that Bryant did not direct New to make the $1.1 million payment to Favre. Quinn said a careful examination of court records will show there's no proof that that occurred, and that's because it didn't. Bryant served 2 terms as governor and could not run again in 2019 because of term limits. He earned his bachelor's degree from the University of Southern Mississippi. In May, the Mississippi Department of Human Services filed a civil lawsuit against Favre, 3 former pro wrestlers, and several other people and businesses to try to recover millions of misspent welfare dollars. Now, if they're able to trace all of these misspent welfare dollars back, does this sound like an ongoing criminal activity here? If this sounds like an ongoing criminal activity, give me a thumbs up. If it does not sound like an ongoing criminal activity, give me a thumbs down. To divert the funds into private enterprise. I mean, I'm not trying to be funny, but this should be some serious Fed time. That is, if it's taken seriously, which we all know it's not going to be. The lawsuit said the defendants squandered more than $20 million from the Temporary Assistance for Needy Families anti-poverty program. Now, that sounds like something that could really help some people out who don't have any water. Doesn't it? That sounds like something that would really help some people out if they don't have any water. About 1,800 Mississippi households received payments from the program in 2021, according to the Department of Human Services. A family of 3 must have a monthly income below $680 to qualify, and the current monthly benefit for that family is $260. Payments are allowed for up to 5 years. In pleading guilty, Nancy and Zachary New acknowledged taking part in spending $4 million of welfare money for the volleyball facility while Mississippi, the people in Jackson, starve. So now here's my question for everybody. Is Brett Favre even getting charged? All of this, everything that I've heard about this, I haven't really heard anything about anybody going after Brett Favre. And real quick, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys have not smashed the like button, if you guys could, please make sure that you smash the like button. And also, if you guys can share the video out, that would be awesome. The mother and son also acknowledged directing welfare money to Pravakis Incorporated, a Florida-based company that was trying to develop a concussion drug. Favre has said in interviews that he supported Pravakis. Now, I'm curious as to what politicians supported Pravakis. Got a question for you guys. You guys think that DeSantis is involved with them in any way? If you guys do, give me a thumbs up. If you guys don't, give me a thumbs down. Mississippi auditor Sad White said Favre was paid for speeches but did not show up. Favre has repaid the money, but White said in October that he still owed $228,000 in interest. In a Facebook post, when he repaid the first $500,000, Favre said he didn't know the money came from welfare funds. He also said his charity had provided millions of dollars to poor children in Mississippi and Wisconsin. So what? And Frank Lucas and Nikki Bonds gave out turkeys at Thanksgiving. Who gives a shit? Who gives a shit? Brett Favre just has the face of one of those people that would wipe their ass and then stick their hands out to shake yours. I'm sorry, he does. So, News One came out with an article, and this article says what Brett Favre's scamming means for black people in Mississippi. And then, of course, somehow in the title, it says what it means for black people in Mississippi. But then somehow brown people got put in there. Black and brown people make up 59% of Mississippi's food stamp recipients. So if you take out the brown people part, it's only 39%, if I'm not mistaken. So now let me ask you guys a question, and see, every time we see this kind of stuff, we have to ask these kind of questions. Why is it that a headline can talk about black people and then all of a sudden somehow brown people get lumped in? Here's a thought. If you're talking about black people, talk about black people and keep brown people out of the conversation. Sheesh. So there he is right there, fresh out of the urinal after shaking twice, ready to shake somebody's hand and probably didn't wash. It seems like Brett Favre's legal troubles are just beginning. I think that they're just beginning and ending at the same time. I don't really think there's going to be any consequences to Brett Favre's issues, because why would there be? We all know that he's a favorite. On Thursday, former director of the Mississippi Department of Human Services, John Davis, entered a plea deal with the state and federal prosecutors for his involvement in a Mississippi welfare scam in which $70 million in welfare money was diverted to the rich. Welfare money is always diverted to the rich because poor people have to buy products from their businesses. Every single dollar on the planet is always diverted to the rich. Right. Facts. Torian says, could you imagine if this was Tom Brady? We would never, ever know. Facts. How did he get the money? He petitioned for it through the state, and he had connections to the governor and the person who was the head of the Human Services Department. And they basically laundered it to him. According to Yahoo, Davis is expected to fully cooperate with investigators as they seek additional indictments. So it looks like Davis is going to be snitching. One of those recipients of the welfare money was none other than Hall of Fame quarterback Brett Favre. Earlier this month, an auditor revealed that $70 million in temporary assistance for needy families, TANF welfare funds, were dished out to a multi-million multi-millionaire athlete, a professional wrestler, a horse farm, and a volleyball complex. From that money, $8.1 million was allegedly given to Brett Favre, to entities tied to Brett Favre. According to reports, Favre was paid $1.1 million in federal welfare funds in 2017 and in 2018 for motivational speeches that he allegedly never gave. So there's that. Text messages released Monday suggest former Governor Phil Bryant helped channel at least $5 million of the state's welfare funds into a volleyball stadium project for Favre and the University of Southern Mississippi. And if you ask me, the University of Southern Mississippi needs to be prosecuted as well. Not just for speeches that he didn't do. Do you guys think that the University of Southern Mississippi should be prosecuted as well? I think they should be prosecuted and they shouldn't be allowed to participate in the NCAA for 5 years. Favre's daughter plays volleyball for the university, and he received most of the fundraising credit for the project. Mississippi is the poorest state in the union. 18.8% of its residents live at or below the poverty line. The state also boasts the highest child poverty rate, with 27.9% of its under 18 population meeting federal poverty guidelines. Sadly, 33.8% of the state's black population lives below the poverty line, and the biggest city, Jackson, has been engulfed in a water crisis for decades. So just so you guys know, the water crisis has been going on for decades. Shout out to Mimi, what up with it? Shout out to Cole, what up with it? B1 first in the building, what up with it? When $70 million in temporary assistance for needy families, welfare funds, are taken away from black families in needs, the effects can be disastrous. Not only were they taken away from black families in need, but they were taken away from a pull yourselves up by the bootstrap conservative. So now again, you got to ask yourself, all of these black dudes that you see online that keep talking this I lean to the right shit and I'm a conservative, this, that, and the other. My question is, this is the kind of person that you align yourself with? What is your stance on this? Now, all of these black dudes that say that they're conservatives, I haven't seen one of them do a video about this. Have you guys? Any of these self-proclaimed black Confederates, have any of them done videos or content about this? They don't even have to do any content about Brett Favre. Let's just talk about the corrupt government, the Republican-ran government of Mississippi, and how instead of diverting the funds to Jackson, all these people that claim that they're so about black people, they diverted the funds away to a rich white guy. So make it make sense. Yeah, Jason Whitlock's not going to say anything about it. Officer Tatum's not going to say anything about it. Black Conservative Perspective's not going to say anything about it. Anthony Brian Logan doesn't even know how to tie his shoes, and Herschel Walker is a complete idiot. So there's that. The majority of Mississippi's welfare recipients are also black, according to a statistical atlas. Now, here we go with the black and brown shit all of a sudden. Black and brown people make up 59% of Mississippi's food stamp recipients. So what? Who cares about the brown part? Why does that matter? How can a state say they care about their residents when the money allotted to help the impoverished portions of a community is handed over to rich folks in an alleged illegal scheme? It's the American way. It's not hard to believe this is a purposeful slight to hurt black folks. Well, I'm glad they didn't say to hurt black and brown folks, because there's brown folks that have been involved in stuff like this to purposely hurt black people. And honestly, most of those brown folks are Caucasians, so I don't even know why they call them black and brown. It's hard not to believe that this is a purposeful slight to hurt black folks. Maybe Brett Favre didn't know where the money came from. It's a fair argument. Actually, it's not. So now you got News One sitting up here, despite we've seen the text messages. News One is going to sit here and say, well, maybe Brett Favre didn't know where the money came from. It's a fair argument. He knew exactly where the money came from. So this shows you exactly what kind of time News One is on. But $70 million doesn't grow on trees. And in a community that desperately needs resources, that money could have gone a long way. I mean, it did go a long way. It went so long of a way, it went right over the heads and through the fingertips of the poor people that actually needed it. So the money did go a long way. So again, this wouldn't have been possible for Brett Favre to do had it not been for Mississippi's corrupt governor. And like I said, when it comes to these kind of situations, there is always a politician backing the individual doing the stupid shit. So now, again, the question that I got to ask you guys is, why has Rico not been mentioned? This took place over a time period from 2017 to 2018. I don't even think they've named any charges for Brett Favre yet, and they already have the one guy, I think his name was John Davis, who's gonna cooperate fully with the investigation. So that is the question. These are the things that we need to pay attention to. These are the things that we need to ask. And another thing that you got to ask yourself a question about is if the liberal media, if they hate conservatives so bad, why are they not all over this story? That's the question. Why are the liberal media not all over this story? I'll tell you why. It's because there is no such thing as the liberal media. The only media is the white media. And the liberal media and the conservative media work hand in hand to make sure that they maintain the racial status quo, which is white supremacy, which provides white privilege. Period. That's the only purpose of both of those machines. But Brett Favre didn't go to school for accounting. He didn't go to school for finance. But one thing that he did learn is that all money ain't good money. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate everybody watching. If you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you hit the bell icon twice, share the video out, and I will catch you all on the next one. All right? Peace.